Educators, please welcome Mr. David Persey.
Yes, hello, good morning, everybody. I'm just going to share my screen first.
All right, good morning.
Excellent. So good morning, everybody. I don't know if some of you may have seen me before. I have been to Indonesia many times. I'm not in Indonesia now, just in case you are wondering. I live in Thailand. I hope that this session will be enjoyable for all of us. So first of all, what are we going to cover today? Well, we're going to look at what a project is, because really people have an idea of projects. It might be based on projects that you have done with young children or projects that you maybe did when you were studying at university. But let's try and define what a good project is. And then we're going to look at a project in New Frontiers, your course book, and the stages that I would recommend going through when doing a project. We will also have a look at how to go beyond the projects in the book. So using the book as a springboard, because obviously I know from my visits to Indonesia that most of you are, or if not all of you, are creative and imaginative teachers. So you will want to use the book as a springboard sometimes for your own activities and the students' activities. And we'll finish off by looking at 4 tips or 4 secrets to successful projects. So you have to stay till the end to see the secrets. Okay, you can't go away, otherwise you won't see them. And then we will reflect finally. So we're going to start off with a poll, okay? And I'm going to ask how you feel about project work at the moment. So let's try this poll. See, it should appear on your screen. So please vote according to how you feel. I can see that our audience our audience have had lots of coffee this morning because they're very, very quick. Lots of good Indonesian coffee.
Right.
That's another thing I miss.
From our participants, David.
Yes, because they're very quick. Look, already 31 out of 31, 100% have replied.
Okay.
And most people would say they need more information about project work, which is very honest. I need more information about project work. We never stop learning, okay? And maybe you have used projects with other books. Some of you who say you understand project work, maybe there will be hopefully some new ideas in today's session. So I'll just share the results here. This is how you voted. Okay. So let's close that and let's do another poll, all right, which is why should we do projects? I'd like to know your opinions on this. So I will just share this poll with you. So you might need more coffee now because you've got another poll to do.
Another poll with more options.
With more options, yes. So you might need 2 cups of coffee. It's good that I have Imel as my beautiful assistant because she keeps me on my toes.
That's my pleasure, David.
Thank you. Right, so it's a little bit slower this time. It might be because of the coffee. It might be because there are more options. So we've had 20 people voting. This one's a little bit more tricky, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to give you 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, everybody has voted. Well done.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll share the results now. So yeah, so let's just quickly go through those. So I'm very pleased that most of you recognized that one of the benefits of projects is that we build learner autonomy. That's one of the key features of a good project, I would say. Some people said that projects are a good way to spend 10 minutes in lessons. Well, I think that's a little bit of a trick question, because I would say a good project can take a year. It can take as long as you want it to take. And generally, restricting it to small parts of lessons, I would say, is a mistake, because you want to encourage the students to work together. It takes time sometimes to generate ideas and to build up a team spirit as well. Some people said the teachers choose the topics they love. Well, I think the question is it the teacher or is it the student, right? We'll come on to that. Shy students love projects. Well, maybe not. So I think that depends how we handle it. But what I would say is that as teachers, one of the challenges we have with projects is getting all the students involved. So we should remember that shy students may be shy to speak English, but they may be waiting to use their talents in other ways. So they may be creative, they may be artists, they may be good with technology. And that's a good way of getting them really involved in the English class. And I'm very pleased to see that nobody chose number 5, because actually projects, I think one of the features of projects is that students should be proud of what they've created as a team. And we eventually, when it's finished and ready, they will probably want it to be shared publicly. Maybe if it is in poster form, it could be on the walls of the school, right? It could be outside the classroom. It could be something that is presented to different classes, different teachers, or to the whole school, or to parents, yeah? So, or even nowadays, it could be shared online in some form. So a lot of possibilities there. Now, I will just, if I can, ooh, I can't, wait a minute. I'm trying to stop sharing the poll. Right, one moment, I have a technical problem here. I have to do this first and then share again. And then, okay. So Emil, are we back to the old screen? Excellent.
Right. Yeah, we can see our full screen now.
Excellent, thank you very much. Right, so you can't put your coffee away yet because I now have a task for you, okay? So there are 6 words at the bottom. Use, together, solve, 21st, responsibility, and guide. What I'd like you to do is write the words in the right place, okay? So if you think number 1 is responsibility, you write number 1 responsibility, you put it in the chat box, and email will tell me if she'll tell me when maybe we have about 10 responses, and then we'll go through the answers. Okay, is that okay, Emil?
Okay, David, we've got some answers actually.
Oh, we've got some responses already. Wow.
Right, yes.
These guys are on fire this morning. Yeah.
Everyone is very excited.
I like that. I like that. It's because they've seen Emil presenting, and that's it's energized them.
All right, you want me to read the answer now?
I can see it. That's
Okay.
why I'm using the presenter view to allow me to see everything. Okay, so we've got some good answers. So this is really to get us thinking about what project work is. Oh, Wesley has got all of them. Okay. All right. Okay, so a lot of good answers. Let's go through some of these now. First of all, project work is when students need to solve a problem or complete a task. So I think this is key. There needs to be a problem to solve. There needs to be a focus to the project. Project work gives responsibility to learners, right? So it is more the responsibility of the learners to choose the focus, to decide on responsibilities within the team, and to decide how they are going to present their ideas. It requires them to work together in a team to find information. The teacher is a guide. So this is why I said, yeah, okay, we could offer, like if we love music, for example, it might be a project that involves music, but ultimately the students would decide on the focus, and we should offer advice, but most of the time students work without the teacher's help in order to find and use information. In this way, project work encourages the development of 21st century skills, and we'll come to those in a minute. Now, there's a nice photo that I found in New Frontiers. Maybe you could write in the chat box, how is this different from a young learner task? What is that? What is happening in this photo? What do you think might be different? Let's have some answers in the chat box.
Yes, well, everyone, you may write your response in the chat box.
Yeah, it's an open question, right? No right or wrong answers. Yeah, others clapping, that's good. Student is presenting something to his friends. Well, hopefully they're his friends. Okay. Student-centered learning. Thank you, Nanda. Yes. And Ellen said the student is presenting or sharing his opinion. I think that is very important. Maybe yes, a young learner class usually needs more roles from the teachers to explain to the students. Perhaps, yes. And yes, some very good answers. He's doing a presentation of himself. So let's just have a look at what might be some of the differences. I would say this is some kind of personal presentation, judging by the what we see in the picture. And I would say it is different from a young learner class, partly because teenagers already have different interests. They often have quite strong opinions, and they want an opportunity to share those opinions. And as English teachers, this puts us in quite a strong position, because I think sometimes in other classes, maybe in their classes conducted in Bahasa, maybe they don't quite have the same freedom, right? And maybe the teachers don't have the same freedom as well. So the learners if the teacher allows them, the learners have an opportunity to really express themselves and at the same time learn English. So are your students ready for this? Well, probably most of you would say some of them not. And maybe they are not so familiar, not necessarily anything to do with you as teachers. It might be their experience in other classes. Maybe they don't have that same opportunity to use these 21st century skills. What are these 24th, what we normally call 21st century skills? Well, they're not really new to the 21st century, but they are, we might say, necessary in the 21st century to get good jobs and new jobs. Some of them we don't even know what jobs they will be in 10 years' time. Okay, another task for you now, guys. Here are some advantages and disadvantages of project work. Which ones are disadvantages? Which ones would you say are disadvantages in your experience? Some students are lazy, says Rain. It's time consuming. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so these are what I think most of us would consider to be disadvantages. So I'm going to keep you on your toes by giving you, shall I give you another poll? Would you like another poll? What do you think, Emil? Do you think they want another poll?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Oh, people are saying yes. Excellent. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to try to access the, right, I will have to once again go here. Okay, so I'm going to give you another poll, guys. It's starting now. So which is the, ooh. These guys are really on fire today.
Right, 19 out of 42, or 21 out of 42 participants.
Oh, I tell you, we're going to be finished. We're going to be finished by 10 o'clock. They are so fast. Okay, all 32 have answered, so I will share the results with you now. The biggest problem identified by most people was lack of interest. So maybe the lack of interest maybe is if we are using old-fashioned course books, for example, that might not allow any freedom in the choice of topic. Because I think if students have some freedom to choose, then they have what we might call agency, right? They are invested in the project. So that might be a solution. Not many people said classroom management. Now, I wonder why. Does that mean that you are great teachers? I'm sure you are, but it might also be that the projects are a little controlled, because classroom management does tend to be quite challenging for projects. Lazy students, again, maybe that is connected with lack of interest. Time consuming, yes, this is again a classroom management issue. Sometimes we have to complete a curriculum and it's difficult to find time. And I think interesting, only 4 out of 36 chose students speaking Bahasa. So that's great. That means that they enjoy speaking English in the class. So excellent, excellent news then. So let's move on now. And I'm going to show you an example project from New Frontiers. Okay, so for those of you that have not yet used the New Frontiers book, there are some great project ideas. So here are some of the ones that I considered for this workshop. Making a scrapbook, planning a school cultural festival, planning a renovation of your school. So you'll notice they're all quite practical. They all allow quite a lot of freedom of focus. And here are the pages, the units where I found them. So I decided to, for this workshop, to focus on a cultural festival, because I thought that might be more fun for you guys. And the first thing that I would do, all right, yes, in fact, I'm not going to tell you yet what I would do, because I'm going to give you another poll. All right, and then we will look at the reasons for that. So the question is, when should we start planning the project? All right, now the project appears at the end of the unit. You'll find the project at the end of every unit in New Frontiers. Now, does that mean we should start planning the project at the end? You know something, Emil? They're getting faster and faster. Already 31 out of 31. Right. You guys are amazing. I can only imagine that your students must get exhausted. The teachers are so fast. So yeah, so some people said, like around a third of you said at the end of the unit. Some people said in the middle of the unit, and around half said at the beginning of the unit. And yeah, there's a reason I asked this question. I am showing you some ideas of how I would teach it. It's not the only way, and you may have reasons for doing things differently, and that's fine. However, I would suggest that when you begin the unit, before you begin the unit, have a look at the page or the project page, right? think about what the students are expected to do. All right. So it says here, plan a cultural festival of your school, decide the days and times of the festival, and then make a list of the different booths you will have at the festival, assign each member of your group a different booth to run, and then have each group member list a special event for their booth. Now, if this was me, I might start the unit by making a display in the classroom. Yeah. If you are teaching online, that display could be online. And I would put the project page up on the display, and I would maybe have a list of vocabulary, useful language that is going to be, that we're going to learn. And as we go through the unit, I would add language and ideas. I could encourage the students to even put up pictures as we go through in preparation for the actual project plan. So we can see here that the unit is on making plans. So we can imagine that this will use some grammar connected with making plans, like using the present continuous tense for plans and going to, for example. And we also know that it is going to use vocabulary related to cultural events. So I might brainstorm with my students at the beginning of the units. What do we mean by cultural events? What if we were having booths? Yeah, it is a big project. Yeah, I agree, somebody said. Okay, so so I would say, first of all, I would get the students thinking around this idea of a cultural festival. So we know that we're going to plan booths, right? So booths are maybe stalls that we might see in a fair. If it's at the school, it might be in the school hall, right? It might be on the sports field that we would do this. But at the moment, for the actual project, all we're doing is planning, okay? So in the chat box, could you write down a few ideas? What might we include in a cultural festival? Yeah, I'll give you an example, right? We might have a stall with books, right? With books about Indonesian culture, right? What other stalls might we have? What other booths? Yeah, street food stall. Excellent idea. You're making me hungry. Okay, so we've got one idea already. So we have street food. What else? Please put some ideas in the chat box. Any ideas? Everybody must be hungry. Yeah, a stage, a dance. Yeah, dance. Fantastic idea. Art and craft. Excellent. Traditional dancing. Excellent. Okay. Traditional costumes. Right. So you have, and songs, tourist attractions. So already at the beginning of the unit, you are coming up with some ideas. All right. So if you have some kind of display in the classroom, you're not asking the students to do anything yet except come up with some ideas, some language. And every time we come up with something that might be useful in the project, then we will put those ideas on our display. Okay, and then I would start going through the unit, and you'll notice now that the unit is structured in a way that will build the students' confidence. So we have a section here on vocabulary that is relevant ultimately to the project. Okay. And then we have a listening. Now, I think the listening is another, it gives us another opportunity. So in this case, I'm going to just play the listening to you. And I would like you very quickly just to tell me, what do you learn about these people? Oh, sorry, I need to share the sound, don't I? So give me one moment to do that. There we go. Okay, so.
Track 3-2. Number 1.
Hey, Antonio. What are you doing tomorrow?
Nothing special. Why?
I'm going to check out some tourist attractions downtown. Do you want to come?
Okay, but I'm going shopping in the morning. Then I'm meeting my older brother for lunch. Can we meet up in the afternoon?
Yeah, okay. Let's meet up around 1:30.
Okay, I'm going to play that one more time just to see if everyone got it.
Track 3-2. Number 1.
Hey, Antonio. What are you doing tomorrow?
Nothing special. Why?
I'm going to check out some tourist attractions downtown. Do you want to come?
Okay, but I'm going shopping in the morning. Then I'm meeting my older brother for lunch. Can we meet up in the afternoon?
Yeah, okay. Let's meet up around 1:30.
Number 2.
Okay, so we have a conversation between
Track
two people.
3-2.
And you may or may not be familiar with the with Classbox, where you can download not only the audio but also the transcripts, right? So what I decided to do here was to find the transcript, okay? And I would say this is very relevant to ultimately our project, okay? So that's why I've picked it out. So we might be talking about different things that you could do. And we can make this an opportunity for a role play and to build up a bit of confidence in using the language. So one idea here, so there are many, I'm sure you have many ideas for using using transcripts and role plays, but this, I think, is one of the benefits of New Frontiers, that you can download the transcripts very easily in Microsoft Word format. You can put them up on your screen, as I have done, and then I would highlight some words and ask the students to change them. All right, so I might say, first of all, okay, in pairs, let's practice this, this dialogue, okay? And then let's try and make it a little bit more fun. Let's make it a little bit more Indonesian, right? So I'm going to change Antonio's name. I'm going to change the things that he's going to check out. I'm going to change his activity. And then I'm going to change his next activity. And we can do this with any transcript, and it's fun and it's scaffolded, and it builds up confidence with the weaker students as well as the strong ones. So would you like to see my adapted transcript? Yes or no?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Okay, now you'll have to tell me, is this more Indonesian?
Right, Rahman. That's very Indonesian.
So I'll practice this with Imel, okay? Imel, I'll be Rahman, okay?
Okay.
All right. So you need to start.
Hey, Rahman, what are you doing on Sunday?
Nothing special. Why?
I'm going to check out some great new frontiers book downtown. Do you want to come?
Okay, but I'm playing, how do I say this? Pencak Silat with Nabila in the morning. Then I'm meeting my great-great-grandmother for a game of chess. Can we meet up in the afternoon?
Yeah, okay. Let's meet up at around 1:30.
Okay, all right. So let's quickly go into breakout rooms because you guys need to speak. All right. So what I'd like you to do, take a screenshot of this dialogue, and I want you to adapt it. All right. So that change the bold words. Okay. So I'll put you in breakout rooms just for a few minutes because I think it will be fun. And so take a screenshot first so that it doesn't disappear from you. And we now have, how many participants do we have now, Imel?
Oh, we have 51 participants at the moment. So maybe with the, yeah, around 45. Yeah, 45 participants, 51 with the committee.
Okay, so I'll put you into 9 breakout rooms. So there'll be more than in a real class. I would probably get the students in pairs to do this, right? Or maybe groups of 4 so that they could come up with some more ideas. Okay, so let's quickly go into the breakout rooms. I will come and visit some of them. Okay, I want you to adapt the transcript.
All right, everyone, if you cannot screenshot it, I'm going to send the transcript to your chat box, yeah? And also to your WhatsApp group.
Oh, are you able to do that, Imel?
Yes, I'm in the WhatsApp group already. So I'm going to send the picture, yeah, of screenshot.
Ah.
Right, I screenshot it and sent to the chat box. Hold on.
You see, she's not only my beautiful assistant, she's my beautiful, intelligent assistant.
You.
All right. So if you've done, can I put them in the breakout rooms now?
Yeah, you can put them in the participants in the breakout room, and they can access the transcript in the chat box and also in the WhatsApp group, in your WhatsApp group.
Okay. So this is a chance to get to know each other a little bit, have a little bit of fun. Okay. So change the words in bold to whatever you like. So a reminder to everyone, please join. I think most people have joined. That's great. Emil, I'm afraid they didn't get the transcript.
Okay. I sent it to the chat box anyway.
Did you send it to WhatsApp?
Yes, wait, hold on. I'm going to send it again.
Okay, it doesn't matter too much. We can move on in a minute. So I'll go to another breakout room.
Okay, that's it. Hold on.
You're not done.
Hmm? You're not done?
We're done.
We have done. We didn't get the
We are not
dialogue, so we didn't practice. We didn't practice anything.
It doesn't matter. Okay, we can't. we can't
We got
always
a
rely
problem,
on.
sir, because in our group there are 5 participants.
Oh, the
Okay.
same
We're
thing.
spending time looking at the script.
we got a trouble to decide who gonna be in partner in each participant.
Okay, well, this is great because this relates very much to anything to do with project work. Everything takes longer than we think, and when we move online, of course, there will sometimes be technical problems. So that's fine. Our role as the teacher. So I was being the teacher. I went into 3 of the breakout rooms. Of course, there isn't time in a 2-hour workshop to do everything to the fullest. But what I wanted you to see was just to think about this activity. Maybe you had time to do it, maybe not. That's okay. When I went into room 7, I think it was Marita. She made a very good point because I said, well, how would you adapt this? And she said, well, I would get the students to put their own ideas and interests, right? So instead of going, I know they should go and see some New Frontiers books, but maybe they would rather go and see a K-pop band, for example, right? So we would allow them freedom to do it. Some of them might have a sense of humor and make it very funny, but the important thing is they're practicing the language. And the book, I think, as you move on through this unit, it starts to relate more to students' interests. So, could I ask everyone to mute, please?
Miss Esther, could you please unmute your microphone?
Thank you very much. Okay, so as we work through, so we can see in this unit, there's a K-pop music festival, which obviously is very modern, and then there's a medieval festival, which they might find quite interesting because it is so different. And again, we're building up that vocabulary. There is a writing activity. There's a lot more we can do here, but we don't have time to do everything today. Now, what I suggest we do now is I said that we would take a break. We are just coming up to the section where we actually look at the project itself. So I think this would be a very good time to take 5 minutes. All right. Maybe even 6 minutes, right? But not 7 minutes.
Right.
Okay. So let's take a quick break now, and I hope to see all of you at 5 minutes past 10.
Right.
Okay, so now what we could do is we can start, and the guys who are here earlier will be able to look at this video using a QR code. So everyone can scan the QR code on the screen. Watch the video.
David, are you sharing the screen?
Oh, am I not? Oh, maybe because the screen sharing's been changed. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so guys, so we are basically getting towards the part of the unit that where we start to look at the project. And there's a nice feature in New Frontiers that I particularly like, which is that the students can scan a QR code and watch a video. So you might want to try this yourselves now.
David, I tried, but I cannot scan the barcode. What about the other participants? Could you please confirm, everyone?
Really? I tried this yesterday. Yeah, if you hold it steady, it should say open sitenavigator.com and then it will take you to YouTube.
Yeah.
I've just done it myself. Should work.
Okay, yes, there is a response from Mimi. She says she can.
Excellent.
Yeah, and Magita says she can.
Excellent.
And from Kristen, yes.
Maybe your phone needs the coffee, email, not you.
Yeah, or maybe I think I need a new one.
Well, I'll send you one over from Thailand. It will be a Thai coffee.
Right.
Which is quite different, actually.
Okay, when was the last time you were in Indonesia, David?
The last time I was in Indonesia was 2 years ago. And I presented at Asta Day.
Right. Oh, there is a response from Miss Alif. It says that she cannot see the QR code. It's on your screen, Miss Alif.
Should be on your screen. Can you see it now?
Oh, she says yes.
Excellent. Okay. So I think it's good for everyone to have the practice of looking at the QR code. Okay. So let's just have a look now at what we just did. Okay, even if maybe some of you didn't have time, that's fine. I just want you to see what the students can do. Okay, what's the topic of the video? Can you write it in the chat box? Yes, Rainer is super fast. Yeah, it's very relevant. Going to the culture festival. Thank you, Christine. Yes, thank you, Lily, as well. Yeah, going to the culture festival. Now, do you think this will help to engage your students and prepare them for project work? What do you think? Yes, Christine says, yeah. Rami says yes. And Nelly says absolutely yes. I think it's good that you've had the opportunity to do this. Maybe you have before, maybe not, because of course there are other ways of using the audio and the video. But in my opinion, using the QR codes in this way will help to encourage learners to become more independent. They can watch the video on their way home from class, on their way to class. If they are not sure of some of the language, they can watch it again and again. Maybe the stronger students only need to watch the video once or twice, okay? But I think it's the QR codes idea is a great use of technology, and it takes some of the responsibility away from the teacher. If our students are doing this, it is one less thing that we need to worry about. And I personally, I discourage the use of mobile phones in the classroom. I don't want my students being distracted, but it's nice to give them a reason to use this technology. And if some of them don't have mobile phones with them, that's fine, right? Those that do can help, can work with those that don't, okay? So then we move on to the next part. And it's always in this section called 21st Century Skills. And the students will get into groups of 4 or 5 and thinking of things that their country is famous for, making a list. I'm going to give you a task in a minute. So it could be this, and then we start to look at the cultural festival. Now, I'm going to give you a slightly different task because you are teachers, all right? So in the breakout rooms, I would like you to consider these questions, all right? So I would like you to choose 3 things, all right, that you would like to include. Now, I personally always like the number 3 because the number 3 is not too small, not too big, but it encourages some discussion. It forces the students to actually focus. If they try to make their culture festival or any project for that matter, if they try to make it too big, then it will probably be out of control. There won't be enough focus and it will be much, they would not be able to produce a quality presentation. So if in your breakout rooms, I'm going to give you 5 or 10 minutes for this, okay? And yes, Marita said, relate them with Indonesian. Absolutely, they can have an Indonesian festival, but give them the choice, yeah? Maybe as the guide, as the teacher, you can go to each group and maybe you can suggest that, all right? But some groups, they may already have an idea and they're very sure of it. And that's good because it means they are already taking responsibility, yeah? So who do you need to talk to? So for example, if you are going to have a display of famous Indonesian dancing, right? Or who are you going to speak to about that, right? How will you present your ideas? So remember, this is a project. It's unlikely they will actually put on an actual cultural festival. So the aim is to plan it so how are they going to present it? Are they going to use a poster? Are they going to use a PowerPoint or Google Slides? Are they going to use some other technology? Are they going to stand up and each of them speak for a similar length of time? Where will they find the information they need? And in your group, okay, obviously in your group, you're going to have more than 3 or 4 people, but I just like you to think about this. Which roles would each of you take? Okay, so I'm putting you in a position of both teacher and students, okay? I will share this. Oh, actually, I will share this in the chat box now. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing.
Definitely, I've shared it already, actually.
Yeah, but I'll share it as a text. Okay, and then I think we can be sure that everyone will see it. Okay, so, but if you also want to send it in WhatsApp to be absolutely sure, that's fantastic. Okay, so I will just put this now into the chat if I can. Yes. Okay. So these are your questions. Don't worry if you don't have time to look at all of these questions. And email will also, maybe the easiest thing is just to copy the text email and put that in WhatsApp as well. So hopefully that way everyone will see it. And I will put everybody into breakout rooms and I'll come and visit some of the breakout rooms again. So I think we can keep the same breakout rooms as before.
Yes, David.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, I'm sending the file to your WhatsApp group.
As you know, as you saw, there's so much to talk about. And I'm sure that you did not have time to answer all of these questions, but I managed to go into 4 or 5 different breakout rooms. And I would like to ask a few people, but actually, if you don't mind, I have already selected a few people that I would like to speak because we might not have time for everyone that wants to speak at this stage. Okay, so first of all, Mimi, do you think you could share your ideas for traditional clothing?
Okay, thank you, Mr. David. Okay, we have talked in our groups that the three things that we will present in the culture festival will be music, food, and traditional clothing. As for the traditional clothing, we think that it will be great idea if we can collaborate with the other subject as well. For example, we will make the traditional clothing using the recycled materials. So maybe we can combine with the science subject when they talk about preserving the environment, taking care of the environments, as recycling is one of the good way to do it. So we can apply it in our project too. I think that's it, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mimi. The reason I asked Mimi to speak is because she mentioned a way of making this a cross-curricular activity. You could look into ways of combining recycling, protecting the environment. So that could come into not only making clothing, but also food, for example. It brings us to another point that I will make in a minute. So this is actually going beyond the project. So the project in this unit of the book is to plan the festival. All right. So yes, this would be great. And I'd like Miss Ellen, could you tell us a little bit about how your group talked about finding information?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. David, and
you are
everyone.
Welcome.
Yeah. Okay. So finding information, we're thinking, of course, because now during this pandemic, it's a bit hard for us to gather in one place. So of course, internet still is going to be our first choice to find information. But of course, as teachers, we're still going to lead our students and make sure that not going through the false information like that, sir. And yes, it's our job to make sure that the information is valid and correct.
Also from that group, thank you very much, Miss Ellen.
You're welcome, sir.
Miss Dwiyanti, could you just tell us a little bit about what you your ideas for getting resources?
Getting resources. We were discussing about two things. The first one is how we can involve our family and community to be part of the cultural festival, and also involve the management or anyone who is responsible above us to be part of it. Either doesn't have to be about the money or financial stuff. It could be their experience, it could be their belongings that can be shared with the student or community.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dwiyanti. So when I went into their group, Ms. Dwiyanti, Ms. Ellen, they were talking about, they said that it would be easy for a private school to get resources, and I took on the role of the teacher here, and I said, well, okay, so you don't have any money. Where could we find some resources? So, for example, if you were looking for a display of traditional clothing, I'm sure there would be grandparents and uncles and aunts. Either you could borrow or you could just take photos of of the items in question. It might be furniture, it might be books, yeah? And so the teacher, I think, can help the students with ideas, because they will get frustrated sometimes. They will think, oh, we can't do this, but I think that they can. I'd like to ask Mr. Ramses, you were talking about some ideas for nature, items of natural cultural significance in nature. Can you tell us about that, please, Mr. Ramses?
Sure, sir. I can do it.
Thank you.
Today, the most problem we get here in North Sumatra is illegal lodging. So that's why many of the protected animals should stay out from the habitat. For example, the orangutan. Orangutan needs a very wide area, but today the area getting smaller and smaller as the illegal lodging, as I talked about. And then, as I told you before, the orangutan lives only here in North Sumatra and Borneo, Kalimantan. And the difference of them is only orangutan in North Sumatra, they love to stay in the top of the trees because so many tigers on the land. So they get afraid to become the target of the, we can call it the tiger. But in Kalimantan, no tiger. So the orangutan love to stay on the land. They only go to the top of the trees in the evening. And then they make any kind of protection place there.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Ramses, do you mind if I stop you there? I think this is a great example. So Mr. Ramses worked as a guide, am I right?
Yes.
Yes. So in every group, you are going to have students with different interests and different possibilities. So you might find that in one group you have a student who loves cooking, or a student who, like Mr. Ramses, knows a lot about different regions and wildlife in Indonesia. So this gives you possibilities. And you know, I know that people said we didn't have enough time. Of course, we didn't have enough time, and
yes.
And this is something that when we talk about projects, this is why I said we can't just have 10 minutes in a lesson for a project. It's something that we may need to do over a long period of time, maybe even outside class time. So there are a lot of possibilities. They can be as big or as small as you want. I'm going to give you another poll question because we've gone through various stages. I'd like you to select which do you think the students would enjoy. You can choose more than one option. That's up to you. Remember, there is more. You can choose 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 options. Up to you. Of course, we haven't got to the stage of presenting the project yet.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Everyone has answered, I think. No, not everyone yet. Just give you a like 1 more minute. 45 seconds, let's say. Okay, I will share. Okay, we still got people. Okay, well, most people have already put in their ideas. So I will share what you have said to me. So I think role play is a great way of building up confidence in speaking. You're allowing a little bit of freedom here with the language, more confidence with the language that they will then be able to use in the project. Watching the video on their phones, I think, gives them the possibility of watching in their own time as well. Choosing the project focus, maybe not so many people have chosen this, but try it. I think you will find that with some classes it works really well. It's maybe the students need a little time. Maybe you need to guide them, as I did in some of the breakout rooms. Planning the project. So the reason that we went into the breakout rooms was to see, you know, it does take time, right? So we need to give them time. In a real class, we have the advantage that that you can really focus on the groups that need help, all right? And you'll find that some groups are very quick at deciding on the focus, all right? And presenting the project, yes, when they're ready, that is something that they probably will feel a little nervous, but I think they will also enjoy it. Now, here are some stages. I'd like you just to look at this and see if you can put those stages in order. You can share the order in the chat box if you want. We won't have much time, but so for example, if you think B is first, then you would write B first, D second, for example. Just spend some time looking at these.
Hi, David, I'm back. Sorry, I had connection problem.
Oh, no problem at all. We missed you though.
So sorry.
That's okay. Okay, so just giving people a little bit of time to look at these, and then I will go through them. I think we might go slightly over time, but I don't want to go too much over time. I know that we are all busy. So if anybody has to leave exactly at 11 o'clock, I will understand. Okay, let's see. Duyante, so put G first. Yes, I agree with that. E second, B third. C, right. Okay, we might disagree a little bit on the order. So I'm going to show you, I know you haven't had time, everybody, but hopefully you've had time to look at them. So a few people have put what they think is the order, and you might not agree with me. This is my order, okay? My order would be check out the project first. Remember, make a display somewhere so that you can start putting language, ideas from the beginning of the unit. And as you go through the unit, the students are reminded of this language that they're going to be using. Then I would go through the exercises in the book to build up confidence in the language needed. I would not, at this stage, choose a focus because I don't think the students are ready yet, right? I want them to choose a focus when they already have the confidence in the language that they need. So when we've finished all these exercises in the book, they have already done some reading, listening, writing around this topic. So then they're ready to identify a focus in each group, and then they will research information. So as we saw, the researching information, it can speaking to other students, yeah? Then they
practice and revise the presentation in whatever form. The presentation might be in the form, it might be in an electronic form, it might be presenting physically, it might be a poster. There are many possibilities. And then they will present the project publicly, maybe to the class, maybe beyond the class. Now, we can go beyond the project. So, for example, with Mimi's group, they were talking about working with other, for example, other departments like science, and working and actually physically producing a display of clothes and a display of food, right? So we can actually go beyond the project and make it into something more than a presentation. Here's another example, yeah? A healthy eating survey. So in the chat box, how could we go beyond a healthy eating survey? What project could we make that goes beyond this project? So let's see if some people have some ideas that could go into the chat box, and then I will share some ideas of mine. Yeah, excellent, Raina. They could create a menu for a week. You could have, Duyanti says, a cooking or market day. Fantastic. Healthy groceries, shopping. Right, so they could actually maybe go out shopping with their parents and actually take charge, right? Make sure that the family has some healthy groceries, all right? For some great ideas, yeah, they could also identify local fruits and vegetables, exactly. So, so on the topic of being friendly to the environment, using local rather than vegetables and fruit that have come from a long way or from abroad. Some ideas of mine, they're no better than your ideas. Larry said gardening as well. I think you could have a plan and exercise and diet routine. Maybe you could have one group setting up a lifestyle coaching service, right? So tell us what you eat and what forms of exercise you do in a day, and we will advise you how to improve it. Maybe you could plan a health food restaurant. Yeah, so a lot of good ideas there in the chat box as well. So we're going to finish off now with some tips for success in projects. Okay, so the first one, I think, is to make a checklist of what needs to be done. All right, so as we saw when we went into the breakout rooms, it's quite difficult to focus, and it's very helpful to have a checklist, right? So if you look at planning a renovation of your school, well, what do you need to do? Maybe first of all, you need to see what could be renovated, right? What you could interview different people in the school and identify what they think needs to be changed. Yeah, maybe maybe they think that the decorations in the hall are very ugly. Maybe they think that the dining room should be repainted a different color. Yeah, so first of all, you might start by asking these questions. Second tip, I think, would be to assign roles. Okay, so every student in a group should have a role. And going back to what I mentioned at the beginning, there are advantages in assigning roles because students are able to focus on what they're best at. So for example, you might have some students who are artists, some of them are writers, and each student takes on a part of the responsibility for the team. So it's projects can be a great way of involving students who might not be very confident at speaking English or writing English, but you're getting them involved in other ways, and that way they can start to improve their English as well. Setting up interactive feedback. So I think that one way that sometimes projects are not as successful as they could be is that when one group is presenting, the others are not really actively involved. So one way of making sure that the audience is involved is that the students might have a checklist to grade other groups. You could make it a condition that each group has to consider not just what the group did well, but also suggesting an area for improvement, and make sure that we pre-teach the language that students might need for praise and suggestions. So for example, the way that you did this was really good, or we think you could improve in this area, for example. And to make it easier, make sure that the students work together in groups. So they watch a group presenting, and then they get back with their own group to plan their feedback. And then my last tip for success here is to make it last. To make the project have some permanence. Okay. So make sure that the work is displayed. Allow students, if they wish to continue in some way, try to plan for this possibility. And as we saw, projects can provide a springboard for further projects. Okay, we're just going to, so you're going to receive a PDF handout at the end with all of with everything we've covered today. But before we finish, I'd like to give you yet another poll, the same as the one at the beginning, and I'm hoping that that you will have that some of you who put 3 will now put 2 or maybe even 1. Okay, so I'm going to just have to close this first, because otherwise I can't share, I can't set up the poll, I'm afraid. So one more poll for you, because we like polls and you're very good at polls. Wow, I'm feeling very happy. A lot of people saying they understand project work.
It seems that our training is very successful, David. Everyone answers 1 and 2.
Well, thank you for all your help, Emil, and thank you everybody for being such great and active participants. It's so important, especially when we're online. Sometimes it's difficult to stay focused. You guys have done a great job. I will just share those results as they are. I know that not everybody has had time, so I'm really happy to see that. That's great. And maybe I'll just share the screen. Well, I don't need to share the screen now. So just if there are any questions, are there any questions, Email?
No, not yet actually in the chat box. But everyone, if you have questions, so how many questions we can answer that?
Maybe 2 or 3 because it's already like
right?
11. So if anyone has a question.
Right. Okay. Maybe 2 questions, everyone. If you have got any question, so you may write it in the chat box, and I will read it, or maybe you can just raise your hand or click the raise hand button, please.
I think everybody's too hungry. All this talking about food.
Okay. Any questions, everyone?
It's fine.
Hey,
if
can
there...
I
Yes,
directly?
Oh yeah, sure. It's Miss Mimi, right? Okay, Miss Mimi. Yes, please.
So David, do you have any suggestion on how to group the students? Maybe based on their English level, should we group them diversely, or if they have the same level of English, they should be in one group? What do you think, Mister?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And well, I have my ideas, which might be different. And I think you know your classes better than me. So we can't say that there's one answer for every class. But I think one of the advantages of projects is that it doesn't, I wouldn't group the weak with the weak or the strong with the strong, or even necessarily the weak with the strong. I might try to find out a little bit more about my students. So if I find out that some of them are good at art, some of them are good in history class, some of them are good in science, maybe some of them are in Mr. Ramsey's science class and they're very good at nature. Some of them are interested in cooking. And you could find that information not only from the students, but also from the other teachers. So I think a little bit of planning in terms of how you mix your students would do you would be very beneficial. All right. And I would make sure that, yes, that you have at least one strong English speaker in each group, because they will be able to, that is obviously one of the important skills, and they'll be able to help the others. But I think that would be my advice. And I would try to have maybe 3 or 4 in each group. Okay. Although it could be more than that. Okay, what should we do if students just choose easy materials for the project? Well, this is why so this is a question in the chat box. This is why I always give a number. So in this case, I said, I want 3 booths, right? They can't just choose one, right? We had one group where everyone wanted to talk about food. So I said, well, I would suggest that food can be one of your booths, but you need another 2. So I think this is where the teacher is acting as a guide. Yeah, we do need to provide a framework, but within that framework, they can have a lot of freedom. Maybe time for one more question.
Okay, all right, everyone. So we still have time for one more question. If you still have the questions, with David.
Well, how do you motivate students to speak English? Well, that's a very big question. I think, again, you will have your own ideas. I think that, okay, I'll try very quickly to give a quick answer to those 2 questions on the screen, and then I think we'll have to stop. Speaking, I think this goes back to the first question of how to choose the groups. I think you want to make sure that you have that you choose the groups. You have make sure that you have at least one strong speaker, one strong writer, right? But the other members of the group, all right, let's say you have 4 or 5 in a group, right? You would choose them more on the basis of their interests and so on. Assessing project-based learning, well, we haven't had time to look at that in a 2-hour workshop. Again, a checklist, right? This is a checklist that maybe you could make, or you could make in conjunction with other teachers, or even you could get the students to make a checklist. Maybe show them an example of a project, and you could say, well, what do you think this project did well, and what did it do not so well? So you could find an example online, and then you could say, well, let's make our own checklist, and then we will use this to assess each other's projects at the end. Okay. So yeah, thank you, Driyanti. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. I'm going to have to go. I really hope to see you again, hopefully in person in Indonesia one day. Some of you, I think I have already met. Thank you very much, all of you. And I will leave you in the hands of the lovely Emil. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Emil. Thank you very much, everybody.